Good morning, LinkedIn friends. Welcome back to the Value First 10-day series. I'm Chris Carolyn, and today we are helping you break free from the leads trap with George B. Thomas, OG HubSpot helper. George, always great to be with you.
Chris, I love hanging out. We've done this multiple times as far as helping to create content together, have valuable conversations. I got to be honest, I'm super pumped to be here today. Um, and probably many of the people watching know that I have thoughts on this topic around humans and leads. And I'm glad that we have this vehicle in this 10 days that we can be talking about this. I won't be here for the 10 days, but other smart humans will be. Um, in other words, I'm excited about this series that you're creating and just being a small part of it because the hot take, right? If I'm being honest for a second, this world that we live in where we call humans leads, it's kind of like calling your spouse a roommate. Now, in some cases, that might be technically accurate, maybe, but it's emotionally like not even a good, like it should be absolutely not. At least I hope for many of you humans out there, like that's not the world that you live in. But we have to stop thinking of humans as data points, Chris, and start treating them like the humans they are. That's my point for this conversation today.
Yeah, and backing up just a little bit, like how we got here. Um, I've always had this disdain for the word leads and what it does to seemingly smart human beings that are around me. And all of a sudden, we start talking about lead generation and we just start making some interesting decisions. I'll
Yep.
say that in terms of business processes, how we set up complete systems, and so much to the point that I did some research back in December about where leads actually came from.
Oh, I love it.
But what got me there, like into value first in general, is you've built a great superhuman framework.
Yeah.
And we spent a lot of time delivering that message. And at the end of it, I'm like, okay, here's another like no-brainer framework that leaders should jump on and could be just a ready-made roadmap to change your organizations. And I don't think they're going to do it. And I started digging into that. And so much of it is because this organizational lockdown that we're in from the information from the industrial age,
Yep.
right? About how we just got to optimize and process like everything. And it's worked on the operations side of the wall for years. Lean manufacturing and things like that have been in place for a long time. Even now, we are just getting to things like the revenue architecture um, that Winning by Design has created. But even that is based on factory processes, an assembly line. And you know what? Humans, humans don't work that way. Like customer behavior, buyer behavior, internal team behavior is not this nice little assembly line. So today we're going to help you, recognize if you're trapped there. I guarantee you are, first of all, and just know that it's okay. Everybody else is too. And we got to work together as a community to help break free from that. And we're going to give you some practical steps to help you break free. Sound good, George?
Sounds great to me. I'm excited to open these doors. And the only thing I'd ask as we get started, Chris, is that anybody who watches or listens to this in the future, that right here, right now, you say, make a conscious decision. I'm going to watch or listen to the rest of this with an open mindset.
Yes. Thank you for that. Uh, it's important because I'm going to use all these words that all of our systems and processes are built around, and I'm going to tell you throw them out the window, right?
Yeah.
Because the language we use, and that's what I mean when I'm in conversation and we talk about lead flow and lead quality, MQLs, SQLs, and how do we measure those things? Conversion rates, right? This is me getting a little bit closer to like, what? I thought, how else could we do it, Chris? Well, what did this like on the surface, and we might get into it, but this is dehumanizing like the
Mm,
process so that we can manage the process and measure it effectively. But what does that reveal,
yeah,
George?
yeah. So a couple of things. One, I just want to throw this out here real quick. This is not your fault. You have been trained to think this way. Just like we had an educational system that got us ready to work in manufacturing organizations during the industrial age, you have been trained that this is the way that you should be doing business. This is the way that you should be doing sales. The unfortunate thing, if anybody has not paying attention, we are in a totally different world where it is about context and creation and curiosity and creativity, and like even the school system is starting to break down to what we actually need for the humans moving forward. But when I think about lead flow, conversion rates, lead quality, Chris, this is where things start to get messy. Like when you walk into a room and you hear phrases like lead flow or conversion optimization, listen, ladies and gentlemen, you're not just hearing jargon, you're hearing a fundamental mindset of the organization that you're dealing with or that you're part of. That language that they're using, it is factory talk. It is mechanical. Humans, by the way, are not mechanical. We are fluid beings. But this language, it treats humans like we're widgets moving down an assembly line in a straight line, and that's super dangerous for any modern organization wanting to flourish in this world that we currently live in. And I alluded to how it's changing in fundamental ways. And so when we say things like lead flow, lead scoring, conversion optimization, we're not thinking about the human. Am I allowed to use the human?
Oh,
Can I
please.
can I use that? We're not thinking about the human on the other end of those words at all. We're thinking about numbers in a CRM, customer relationship manager. We are thinking about numbers and not the relationship. It's customer relationship manager. Anyway, and that's how relationships get reduced to just these simple check boxes and these status updates. And listen, let me back up a second before I get hate mail. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's like being done maliciously, but it's more of this case that I would say it's business muscle memory. The way that you've trained, the way that this is the way that we've done it and the way that we'll always do it because it's the easy movement that we're used to. We have got to rewrite this muscle memory moving forward, this business muscle memory, because people, humans, don't want to be nurtured like crops or converted like currency. They want to be understood. Chris, humans want to be respected. The big thing is the humans, especially in the pain points of their life or business, they want to be helped. And when our language, and you use this word, which I'm happy that you did, when our language dehumanizes the process, guess what? Our behavior follows. And that's why this matters so much, not just for results, but also for reputation, for the relationships we're trying to build, and for what we all are looking for from a business use case, real freaking impact.
So good. Uh and how obvious this is. Like I asked Claude for some satirical quotes of what's happening when we dehumanize, and it came back with just some hits, and I used them all. Like I used them all in our post, and I just need to read them here because you can hear. I guarantee a lot of people feel this way inside. Um, but just imagine, like this is what it would be like in practice if everybody was transparently communicating with each other. Uh, Welcome to the machine. Congratulations. You've been assigned a lead score of 47. Please proceed to marketing qualified lead status and await further processing. Do not deviate from your assigned buyer journey. How about this from the customer service department? Attention, lead 4829. You have been automatically enrolled in our 7-touch nurture sequence. Please convert at your scheduled time. Failure to comply will result in additional follow-up automation. On the sales side, welcome to our sales funnel. Please move efficiently through each stage: awareness, consideration, and decision. No stopping, no thinking outside your demographic profile. Our KPIs depend on your cooperation.
Oh Lord.
Dear prospect, your recent behavior indicates you may not be sales ready. Please increase your website activity and download additional content until you achieve SQL status. Thank you for your compliance. Lead ID 2847. You are currently in queue position 156 for sales outreach. Estimated conversion time 3 to 5 business days. Please remain a qualified lead during this period. And some performance metrics. Congratulations, you've helped us achieve our monthly lead generation KPI. Your conversion is scheduled for Q3. Please do not become unqualified before then.
My gosh.
Uh, this is what assembly line thinking like creates in
Yep.
human relationships. And this is how we feel when we know that you're going through these motions. So when you use words like lead generation, instead of recognizing signals of what I'm doing out here, lead nurturing instead of relationship development, lead scoring instead of understanding readiness. And dare I say, converting leads instead of supporting the decision process and journey. And here's what's been so insightful as I've been working inside the HubSpot ecosystem as a consultant. Coming from industrial manufacturing, you've got sales veterans that have been closing deals for 30 years without touching a system at all because they know it's all about building the relationships. So when they see, they can feel it. They usually don't tell you why, but they can see this elaborate machinery that just fights against how relationships naturally develop.
Yep. Yep. Like Chris, if I'm being completely honest with you, the best sales people that I've worked with, that I've seen, that I've sat back. Because by the way, I don't talk about this a lot, but I literally started like maybe 35 years ago in furniture sales and was like a sales rep and then a sales manager and a district manager. And so I've had time to be on the sales side of what now I do, like, HubSpot and marketing and that kind of stuff. But the best salespeople I've worked with, they're not hunched over a CRM waiting for a lead to score, like lead score to hit 85 or 185 or 285, whatever the freaking magic number that your marketing team has said that they're looking for. They're not, buried in some 47 step email sequence, like hoping that automation can do what real human conversations would solve in 5 minutes. Are you a good fit or not? Do you have a problem we can solve? Like the great sales folks, they read humans, not just dashboards. They've got this like built-in radar, this intuition, that what you might call the sixth sense that says ding ding ding, it's time. And it's not because a system told them, but because they've been present with the person, the human, on the other side of this journey. And that's, Chris, what we need more of. We need real relationship IQ moving forward. You've got to understand what makes, breaks, or builds relationships. And I'll be honest with you, Chris, I use systems. I'm not going to sit here and be like, down with the, whatever. But I use systems. I love a good automation when it saves me time. Heck, I teach HubSpot CRM strategy for a living, but I don't let the tech do the talking. My process, it's simple. My process, it's human. My process, it's about serving, not really selling. You see, when I show up on a call, it's not with a pitch. It's more with curiosity. It's more with care. And I have this like deeply rooted desire to actually help the humans on the other side of the Zoom call. And I'm saying Zoom call because that's where most of my meetings happen. To me, the CRM is a tool for keeping track of people that I care about. I want you to think about that for a second. Do you care about the humans that are floating through your funnel or your flywheel? To me, it's keeping track of the people, the humans that I care about. The funnel, if you will, is a visual map, not a finish line. So many people out there think of like, oh, the bottom of the funnel, we won the race. Cha-ching, let's go do the credit card dance. No. And here's the thing, automation, like, it's for reducing friction. It's not, never has been or should be for replacing connection. Humans want connection because what really moves the needle is not that nurture sequence, it's the actual nurturing of the human. It's being helpful before being persuasive. It's asking real questions. It's actually listening with intent. It's letting the people, the humans that you're serving, AKA selling, feel seen. See, the world is busy. Many businesses are busy out there chasing conversion rates. The greats are out here building real conversations, building real relationships. They're not forcing, they're not pressuring. It's just about trust first, value first, human centric relationships that last.
Man, if we focused on value and trust
Yeah.
instead of chasing the conversion rates,
Yep.
um, that that could be a simple question that helps you through all this. Is the thing we're doing creating trust? Is it creating value? If not, why are we doing it? Like,
Without
throw
a
it out
doubt.
the window. Um, so thankfully, George had a moment of brilliance over the weekend as I prepped for my AI talk tomorrow in the community. And one of the challenges of talking about this future where we just get rid of the industrial organizational structure of how we do just about everything related to customer experience, um, is that it can be very hard to call out like metrics and how you're going to measure what you're doing when all these things just there's new words everywhere. Well, you had a good eye and you
Yeah.
saw an opportunity to break things down. So what we have is the need assessment.
I love this so much, brother, that you went in this direction.
It took over my Saturday, for being honest, because I applied it to all the 10 pillars
Yep.
have this, and it was just a nice cap to the other side. So let's walk through the need assessment. Uh, some 4 key indicators that reveal if you're trapped, and need stands for natural collaboration, enhanced human capability, elevated value creation, and distributed empowerment, right? So back to natural collaboration. An example, when marketing measures lead quantity and sales measures conversion rates and service measures retention, all separate metrics for the same human on the other side. What does that do?
Yeah. I don't know as you read that if everybody else's brain went in the direction that mine immediately goes, but Chris, what that creates is silos. What that creates is confusion. What that creates is mishandoffs. And by the way, the customer feels all of those things that I just said like real hard. Uh, Imagine it's like walking through a fun house where every door leads to a slightly different version of your experience. Uh, First of all, that's not real fun, even though we're calling it a fun house. Like when I get in those scenarios, I'm like, get me the frick out of here right now. I just want to go eat some cotton candy and enjoy the rest of my evening. Why did I sign up to walk into this mirror disaster? Like, listen, nobody knows your name. Nobody understands the context of your journey. It's not collaborative. It's fragmented at its finest, which is not a good thing. Nobody really wants or needs that. And here's the part that might sting the most for so many out there, and that is the humans on the other side. They don't care what department you're in. They don't care what title you wear. They just want to feel understood. They want a little bit of consistency. If the process could have some continuity, and bottom line, could you fricking care about me? Could you act like you care? And by the way, I would transport the word care to the word love. And I don't mean in the touchy feely way, but do you love the humans that you're trying to serve? Because if so, what Chris just talked about needs to change. When your team is tracking different KPIs and telling a different story, the customer gets treated like a baton in a relay race, passed from one hand to another hand. And honestly, there's like real no connection. And by the way, if you've ever watched the baton, the thing's getting shaken all around. Like it doesn't look like a happy, fun experience. Just think about the last time you watched it. And by the way, have you seen the baton drop? That sucker bounces around, ding, 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 ding. Like that's the humans. That's your humans. So the fix, the thing you need to kind of start doing is you got to remember that metrics don't live in isolation. Humans don't live in freaking stages. And collaboration isn't just about a shared Slack channel, it's about shared responsibility for the relationship or relationships that you get the ability to have with these real, living, breathing, feeling humans.
And it didn't take me too long to realize how this structural conflict, while we're trying to serve the same person, and we have the right goals in a lot of ways in terms of customer lifetime value, great experience, even when we're serving throughout the process. But then when we translate them to these departmental goals, it's like I have empathy for the teams that want to change but can't, because they're literally their KPIs will not let them, right? Um, because if they can, then we're talking about what does enhanced human capability look like, right? A diagnostic question for everyone. Do your teams spend more time on data reconciliation and system maintenance or actual relationship building?
Yeah. The unfortunate part is many are probably like, yeah, reconciliation and system maintenance. Like,
I mean, this is where that stat of 30% of the time of a salesperson is spent selling,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Listen, I've been doing this since, well, HubSpot in inbound 2012, but really like consulting, training, teaching, talking to teams since 2013, early 2014. And over a decade of time, I've sat with so many teams, so many good humans, so many smart individuals who, Chris, there's no other way to say this than they're buried. Not in strategy, not in connection, but they're buried in clicks. They're buried in spreadsheets. They're buried in updating fields just to freaking update them because somebody told them that they need to have this information so that they can close a deal faster or whatever it may be, depending if your sales marketing service. It's like their job secretly became nobody told you, but you're a professional checkbox checker. Like that's your title now. And when your team is spending more time reconciling data than building relationships, you're not just losing efficiency, you're losing energy, you're losing momentum, you're burning out the very people who are supposed to bring the brand to life. And Chris, I've worked with teams who can't even find time to follow up with a warm prospect because they're too busy. Can I be honest for a second? I have had moments in my own business where I couldn't follow up with a good warm prospect, a real human that needed my help because I was too busy doing things like other humans, like cleaning duplicates or fixing sync issues or chasing someone down for like what was the lead source? And I'm finally like, screw it. Like, can I just go have the meeting? Can I just go talk to him? Because all of those things that I just listed, that's not strategy. That's literally us like trying to survive. And what's tough to admit, a lot of that, it's busy work. And a lot of that, we created it. It comes from trying to like duct tape. Wow. Words, I tell you, complexity instead of asking the bigger question. And here's the question that we should be asking ourselves. Is this actually helping us serve people better? By the way, there's not a maybe. Is this actually helping us serve people better? Yes or no? Because if the system is running your people instead of your people running the system, guess what? You're trapped. And the mission that you're on to help the humans, well, that mission suffers.
Guaranteed. Uh, and when people are managing systems, instead of building relationships, they feel trapped. Like you can see it, the anxiety and the stress and all of that. And that's where, as I take a step back, leaders feel trapped too. They look all around them. Oh, we're supposed to be measuring this stuff.
Yep.
We're supposed to be setting up our departments like this. This is how you do things, right? We paid for this system. We got to get value out of it. This is how you use the system, right? Instead of this is how we serve our customers. Because when we focus on the customers, like really, not just say it, not just say we're customer centric, elevated value creation is the next E in need. George, easy softball for you here. What happens to word of mouth when people feel processed rather than understood?
I mean, if your goal is to kill word of mouth, which should never be, make people feel processed instead of understood. Seriously, like treat them like a lead, not a human. And the connection dies right then and there. Because word of mouth isn't fueled by funnels, Chris. It's sparked by these moments, these conversations, that feeling that they get of being heard, of being helped, of actually cared or loved for. Chris, one of the things my wife says that always fascinates me, she's like, I don't think you have clients. I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, you have friends who like to pay you money. Why would she say that? Because I create moments through conversations with humans before, during, and after they're in any type of pre funnel, flywheel, post. Like I show up human, and that sticks. But when your brand sounds like a robot, listen, people don't get mad. They just go quiet. And silence, that's what kills business growth. Honest conversations build buzz. Those conversations, those moments create genuine care, and they drive referrals. If you cut corners on connection, I don't want you to be surprised when loyalty walks out the door, because that's what's going to happen. So think about moments, think about connection, think about showing up human. And then all of a sudden, word of mouth becomes a really interesting engine for your organization.
And it's the original source. It's the original lead source, folks. Like, and this is why organizations that have been doing it for so long, they struggle to adopt the systems that get in the way of that, right? And that's what we've built. And when you can't rely on that, all of a sudden, everything feels like a one-off, just Herculean effort.
Yep.
And you lose the natural multiplication from authentic advocacy. Authentic, the key word, because as you put systems in place and you realize that you're losing that, you start to develop, oh, let's get a testimonial, and here's your task, and here's your task, and we're just going to start telling everybody about how great this customer feels. We need the customer doing that on their own because then it's authentic, right? And distrib- distributed empowerment as the last D, include the customer layer in this, right? So many people forget, are you making it easy? Like to let customers, to enable customers to
Yep.
talk about you, right? So final test for distributed empowerment. Um, questions you're asking yourself as a leader or in your organization, do successful relationship approaches spread naturally,
Mm.
or do they require constant training and oversight? And like, I'm sorry, this is so common sense. It's not rocket science, people. But you need to just, if this is where you got to start,
Yeah.
this is where you got to start.
Yeah. I mean, I think we make some assumptions that we shouldn't do because like this might just be totally new to a lot of humans, and it might be pulling a veil or a clouded vision away. Listen, Chris, this one to me, it hits hard because the truth that most folks are chasing scale and don't want to admit is that real relationships don't fit in a spreadsheet. You you can't process your way to trust. You can't automate genuine care. Relationships aren't linear. Relationships are messy. Relationships are human. They're chocked full of nuances. And when we try to cram them into rigid systems, like we're talking about today, we flatten the very thing that makes them powerful. And look, don't get me wrong. Again, I'm not trying to do this with you and get hate mail. Like, I love systems. I build them, I use them every day. But again, if your system can't make space for a real moment, a quick voice memo, a no strings attached check in, hey, I saw this and thought of you, then that system is not helping you grow. It's actually doing the opposite. It's probably holding you back. The truth is, the stuff that sticks, the stuff that builds loyalty and sparks referrals, that word of mouth stuff that we're talking about, it's the human stuff. And yeah, it doesn't always scale, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't matter. It actually means that it matters more. When your strategy chokes out the human moments, you're scaling disconnection, not relationships. I want you to sit on that for a minute because you're scaling the exact thing that's going to kill you instead of the thing that's going to build you up as an organization.
And that comes up over and over throughout the 10 pillars. Like one of the major changes that we're suggesting, imploring when moving from industrial age to the age of AI is get out of the business of optimizing. You have to
Yeah.
transform, right? And optimizing the process that has always been, AI can do that for you.
Mm,
It'll do it better than you've ever have in your life. But what are you scaling at that point? Oh man, disconnection and not relationships. I love it.
yeah.
So as organizations scale, um, relate this to the data complexity and the system overhead. What are you seeing out there?
Yeah. Data complexity gets real fast. Like, I've walked into teams where five tools, Chris, have been telling five different stories about the same dang contact. One says they opened the email, another one says they didn't. One is calling it a closed one deal, aka a customer. Another says it's still stuck in SQL and negotiation. And folks are just like hoping, praying, if you will, God, let nobody see the chaos of the tech stack that we live in. Like, it's what happens when you stack tools on top of each other without an actual strategy. Suddenly, your tech stack becomes a spaghetti mess of sync issues, outdated fields, and automation on top of automation. which, by the way, that probably is what most people's HubSpot workflows tool looks like. Automations on top of automations. And that technical debt, air quotes, it's hurting your organization more than it's helping. And you started it because the stacking and the automation that you needed or thought you wanted help for the process. But listen, it's not just debt on the front end, it's the back end. It's like it's also employee morale. It's external and internal trust. Hmm. By the way, internal trust may be more important than external trust when you're trying to use systems to actually get where you're trying to scale to. Anyway, worst of all, it's impacting revenue. Clean, aligned systems, they're not just like this operational hygiene that we're trying to go to, like a kid who's like using medication on his face. They're the way an organization has to survive. And Chris, you and I both know this. Momentum dies when your data is messy. And when momentum dies, trust follows. And we live right now, and I can't wait for inbound because I'm going to talk about this a lot. We live right now, not no, so much in an attention economy. We've been through that. We are living in and moving into trust economy. And that's what makes this conversation we're having today so dang important.
And in the past, or currently still, how do companies try to overcome this lack of trust with the system, this lack of momentum? Um, they do focus on the hygiene. They hire operations specialists to manage the artificial complexity that we've created for
Yep.
ourselves,
Yep.
right? And again, that's where the best salespeople are like, no, go, like you got it. I'm just gonna go meet this person over here. I'll let you know what happens. uh, but we typically respond with more complexity, right? Better lead scoring, advanced integration platforms, and elaborate nurture sequences. Um,
Yeah.
these are all trying to optimize the flawed paradigm instead of questioning why we are treating humans like this, like objects to be scored.
Yeah. Companies keep throwing headcount, tech, uh, and process at the problem that they won't admit is self-inflicted. Lead scores, nurture sequences, integration platforms stacked like freaking Jenga towers on your dining room table. All of these things were designed to fix a system that had never been built for humans in the first place. You see, you don't solve a people problem with more process. You solve it by stepping back, taking time, and asking, why are we treating humans like points on a scoreboard instead of actual humans with needs, humans with timing, and humans with lean in and listen, trust issues? Here's the real deal, Holyfield. That question, the reason we don't ask it very often is because it makes us as humans, it makes folks uncomfortable. So instead of addressing the root, they optimize the surface. Have you gotten to a place in your life where you're just tired of surface level conversations? Do you wish you could go deeper? Well, here's the thing, we stay on the surface, we make the funnel cleaner, we make the sequence tighter. Hey, can you make the dashboard prettier? Meanwhile, the experience still feels cold, automated, and like no one is actually listening. Listen, you can't humanize a machine by adding more wires. You've got to rethink the freaking machine. So stop obsessing over how to score people better and start asking how to serve them better. When you do that, by the way, their score that you're actually using because you are a nerd, up and to the right.
Ah, man. By the way, like we are trying to work with some of the conventional stuff, because they're like scores can be
Yeah.
very valuable and they can have a purpose when they're telling you the story that's valuable for you and the customer.
Yeah.
And on that note, I've been having a lot of conversations with Casey Hawkins, mindful that there's a lot of people that have invested a lot of time and energy into lead scoring and now health scoring that are in the HubSpot platform. So we've got some value first scoring coming out in the future. So we're not telling you to throw your whole tech stack and everything you know out the window. It's just a different paradigm to view
Yeah.
all these things through, right?
And if that's what
And
they're getting right now, by the way, Chris, if that's what they're getting right now, rewind, start this over from the beginning and try again.
yes, uh, and um, if you do that, then maybe you'll be ready to take advantage of this part. Because enough about the where you've been and where you are, and uh, we hope it resonates. It resonates with me for sure, and my experiences inside of organizations trying to lead marketing against this natural or this very unnatural complexity that organizations create. So we're going to take some time to look at what it looks like when organizations break free. What does the alternative look like, George?
Yeah. When an organization, a company, your business, you as an individual human or the teams, when they finally break free from the leads and logic mindset and lean into real human-centered relationships, you stop seeing people as pipeline stages and you start seeing them as humans. You stop asking how do we convert and you start asking how can we care? And that's the foundation of the superhuman framework. You alluded that we created some content around that, and especially the superhuman framework for marketing, because purpose, passion, persistence, and love work together to build something deeper than metrics. Right? When you lead with purpose, your message matters. When you bring passion, it feels real. When you show up with persistence, you create consistency. And when you wrap it all in love, humans feel it, they remember it, they share it. You see, Chris, that's value first, human centric, like alternative to where you've been to where you're trying to go. You don't need a fancy funnel to build trust. You need honest conversations. You need real moments. You need thoughtful timing. And again, that stuff doesn't always scale. I get it, but the stuff that absolutely sticks, I've built my whole business this way. Like breaking free means getting back to what marketing was always supposed to be about. And I've been shouting it or at least saying it at the end of almost every video I've created: human, helpful, and built to last.
So that's what we're here to help you do. There is a path. Uh, you're not the only one that needs to go down it, and you won't be the first to have gone down it. Um, Hoping that this packaging, this value first framework is helpful for that. So what the value first humans approach is first of all, people are not leads to be converted. They're humans, they have a natural journey, whether they're at the beginning of the relationship with you or in the middle or wherever. They're on their own journey, right? And we gotta support that. So instead of mechanical stages, we're 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 honoring that natural progression. Um, we go from lead generation to signal recognition, providing genuine value that creates authentic signals when they're ready on their terms, on their timeline. We go from lead scoring to understanding readiness, right? Developing a genuine understanding instead of point systems that rank humans.
Yeah.
Now, in your opinion, George, what changes in the customer experience when people stop being processed
Yeah.
and actually start being understood?
Yeah, Chris, this is where it all flips. Like when you stop trying to score people and start trying to understand them, you don't just build trust. Again, you build that momentum that we're all looking for. And again, don't get me wrong, I love me some good lead scoring. but lead scoring alone says you're a number. Understanding says you're a human. And that shift, it unlocks a kind of growth that most businesses are missing. Most of our business comes from referrals at George B. Thomas LLC and Sidekick Strategies. Like, everybody's out there chasing social and SEO, and like, listen, I'm telling you, like 75-80% of our business comes from referrals. Not because we chase people, but because we care enough to ask, is this even a good fit? Like, we care enough to, like, no pressure, no pitch fest, just clarity, value, and honest conversations. 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, whatever it takes. And we try to stay unbiased on purpose. If listen, if we're not the right solution, we'll say it. There's a word I'm going to throw out there: integrity. Does your business, does your process, does it have integrity? Because helping someone get to the right next step matters more than forcing a deal. At least the way that we look at it and the way that we've tried to, like, navigate the world. And that kind of care, or again, what I like to label as love, that kind of love doesn't go unnoticed. It sticks with people. And the funny thing about things that stick with humans, they pass it on. Chris, the bottom line is that humans need to feel seen, not scored. And that's what I hope people get out of this, is like, there is a completely different mindset and a shift to the terminology that we've been taught, to the actions that we need to take to be successful in the future.
And the powerful thing, like, here's what's powerful. It actually improves the metrics,
Yep.
like authentic signals. When you wait for people to say, I'm ready, I love what you're doing, they're higher quality. They start with trust. Conversations get so much easier. The progression, conversion rates increase because we're not fighting the process, right? Just think about it. Just take a step back and think about it. Somebody says that they give you the signal that they're ready to buy versus you saying, because you likely have an end of month KPI to hit, oh, what discounts can we give you? What this, what that,
Mm.
right? It's like, no, we're not ready. Like, we're not buying right now. And everything you try to do is just going to destroy trust, because none of that is actually valuable to the person on the other side of the table. Worst case, it forces them into unnatural decision making, and now your relationship is continuing on a different path. So instead of MQLs and SQLs, please just remove those. Kudos to HubSpot for starting to remove those from the default life cycle stages. But it's a journey we got in front of us to remove
Yeah.
those. But this is the natural progression. It's as easy as just thinking of from their side of the story, from the human side. What are they doing in the beginning? They're the audience. They're seeing the message, and maybe it gets their attention, maybe it doesn't, but they're out there. Um, Once things get serious, they're researching. They've got pain. They've got a problem. They're literally, I need to do research. That's what they're saying. Then, if the research hits, they're like, oh, okay, I want to talk to somebody. I need to talk to somebody from sales or the engineering team. I need to understand because I think I like the product. Um, and from there, you just build this foundation of trust and value that it gets harder and harder to move this relationship. All the other variables that come into play that we try to control, we don't have any control over that stuff. We have some control over trust and value, right? Um, so lots of ways that we're going to be coming up with in the coming months to help you, build that journey, honor that natural progression. But today we're going to give you some practical implementation steps to close out. Now, for somebody, George, who recognizes these patterns, what's the first step?
Yeah. Listen, when someone moves at their own pace, you've got to kind of realize that it's gonna be different. Like it's gonna be changing. Um, man, I hope people get this, right? I hope people understand um pace and clarity and confidence. I hope people realize that people will stay longer when there's less resistance. All of this good stuff, right? And so like there's just so much that I hope people get out of this conversation that we had today. And so if we want to think about the steps that you take based on the understanding that I deeply hope that you have, first step, you've by the way, I don't think any of these are easy, but the first step, audit your intent. Look at every email, every CTA, every follow up, and ask, am I trying to get something or am I trying to give something? Um, the world rewards blessing bombers. When you're trying to give, you will receive. That's as far as I'm going to take that. If you know, you know. But that's the one question that will expose the gap between pressure and purpose real fast. Is am I trying to get something or give something in these actions? Then step 2 is talk to your team. Not about the funnel or the flywheel, whichever side you land on, that's up to you, but about the humans in it. Talk to your team about who are they? What do they need right now? Like those conversations alone will change how you and the rest of your team show up tomorrow. What I'm saying is start with service and stay human. And trust me, when you do that, the rest of this that we've been talking about today gets a lot easier along the way.
Oh, George, as always, this has been a fantastic session.
Thanks, brother.
And I think it's the beginning or the continuation or however you want to see it of something really special. We've got to make these transformations as organizations. AI is not going to have it any other way. Like we've seen it, right?
Mm.
It doesn't have time or even the understanding of unnecessary complexity, right? Which is what we're hoping to help you transition away from. Uh, for everyone watching, if you recognize these patterns, you're not alone. Tomorrow with Clement Robat, the advertising trap and value first communication. So for today, the one question to remember as you're thinking about your own processes and your own technology, does this honor the human or does it process them? Thanks so much, George, and thanks everyone for watching. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, Chris.